Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let us continue with the chapter Reproduction in Animals. In the previous session, I introduced that what we actually mean by the reproduction and what are the different modes of reproduction. So students, I hope this concept should be very clear to you that reproduction is the production of new individuals from the existing parent organisms of their own type, and that is of course very important point, right? And besides that, the reproduction, it can occur in two different ways, or there are two different modes of reproduction in which in one of the type the sexual parts are involved and the other in which the sexual organs of the body are not involved. So in the last session I explained to you, I introduced the concept of sexual reproduction in animals, right? Of course this sexual reproduction, it can take place in plants also. So now let us proceed with the concept or with the chapter as per your syllabus. And today we are going to discuss about the sexual reproduction in human beings. And you all know that there are two different types of sex, that is male and female. So in today's session we are going to discuss about the male reproductive system. Okay, and how it is playing an important role in the production of the gametes. So students, now this slide, it is showing you the picture of a male reproductive system, right? The most important parts of the male reproductive system are there is a pair of testes, there are two sperm ducts, that is there is a pair of sperm duct and a penis. Now these three are the, I'm saying it is the most important, but it is not so that the entire male reproductive system is comprised of only these three structures. There are other supportive parts also in this particular system, and equally they all are very important. If there is some problem in any of these particular part, definitely the system or the process of reproduction is going to be affected. So but broadly we have to understand more about these three structures here, right? But additionally I'm going to show you each and every part which is present there in the male reproductive system. Before I start explaining you this particular structure or this reproductive system, let me tell you one thing, that this testes, it is present in pair. That means this tes is the plural form of this particular structure. And of course if we have to spell for a singular one, then instead of this e we have to write I. Therefore in this picture you can you can see this particular difference, that we have labeled it as TES because in this particular diagram only a single testis could be seen, right? So now let us discuss about the entire male reproductive system. So let us first discuss about the testes. As I already said, it is present in a pair. That means there are two testes in the male organism's body. Fine. This picture is actually the side view of the male reproductive system. So it is showing only a single testis, right? And the another similar testis is located on the other side of this particular structure, right? Beside this, this particular structure is actually a very important part of the male system, and the function is to produce the sperms, and second important function is to secrete the hormones. Which hormone and what is the role of these hormones or the sperms in the process of reproduction? So let me tell you this thing here. So the first part what I'm saying is testes. It is responsible for what? For the secretion of the sperms, and secondly it is responsible for the hormone testosterone, right? Sperms, they are actually known as the male gametes. and they are motile in nature. So basically these particular sperms, they are carrying the genes from the father's body, and they are contributing it in the next generation or in the offspring. Now, what I mean by this is that, see, I clearly explained you in the earlier session that during the process of reproduction, there is the transmission of characteristics from one generation to the another. And how it is taking place? The male body is contributing its own part. The characteristic features from the male body is actually stored in the sperms in the form of the chromosomes or in the form of the genes, right? Genes, they are coding for a particular characteristic features, and these genes are located on the chromosomes. So sperms, they are carrying the genes. Each cell is carrying the genes, but it is only the sperm which can transmit it from one generation to the another. Why? Because it can further fuse with the female gamete, and therefore it is contributing its own characteristic in the for the next generation, right? Next thing is that the human testis is able to produce millions of sperms. And you know how is it possible? It is possible because of the role played by the hormone testosterone and the infrastructure of this particular unit. That means, what I mean by this thing is that internally the testes is divided into some lobes, right? And each lobe is having so many tubules, and those tubules, the lining of those particular tubules, they are secreting the sperms, or they are producing the sperms, right? The innermost lining of this the innermost lining of this particular tubule present inside the testes, they are producing the sperms. Now, how? It is under the influence of the hormone testosterone. And from where this testosterone is coming? It is also coming from the testes. You know from which part? The tubules which are present inside the testes, in between there is the presence of specific cells. I can introduce the name here, although you don't have to remember as if according to a syllabus, but definitely it is something important that you must know, right? So in between those tubules, the Leydig cells are present, right? And these particular cells, they are secreting the hormone testosterone. So what thing important you have to remember is that testes is actually responsible for the production of sperms, and the sperms are produced under the influence of testosterone. Beside this, testosterone, it also controls the secondary growth in the male organism. You know what are the functions, or what are the specific characteristics that develop during the secondary growth in the male organism? They are like deepening of voice, then development of hairs in different parts of body, right? Then the development of beards and mustaches. Then I can say like development of the sexual part of the male body, that is like penis and the other reproductive parts. Besides that, most important is the production of the sperms. All these are the secondary characteristic features which develop during the puberty stage, right? Now, after this testes, you know where this testes is actually located? It is located in the external sac-like structure, which is known as the scrotum. Testes is not located inside your abdominal cavity. It is situated outside. You know why? The reason is that because the sperms cannot tolerate our body temperature. They can grow or they can be produced only at a lower temperature. It is something 1 or 2 degrees Celsius less than our body temperature. So since they cannot tolerate body temperature, they have to be located outside. Now, if they have to be located outside the abdominal cavity, then how is it possible that they will hang out in the just externally? They need some base over there, isn't it? So that base is provided by this bag-like or this sac-like structure known as the scrotum. So you can see this structure here. It is known as the scrotum. Further, I said testes is producing millions of sperms. Now these sperms, they are motile, right? As they are having the tail, isn't it? Now they are motile, so they can reach out of this testes and from the scrotum, and they have to finally reach the female body. Right. Now how is it possible? They are located here in the scrotum, so how they can move out? For that, there is the presence of sperm duct. Sperm duct is also known as the ductus deferens, or it is also known as the vas deferens. So you can see this this red color tubule which is arising from the testes, and it is running in the upward direction, right? And then from upward direction it is moving out in this particular from in this direction, right? So this particular tube which is arising from the testes and is carrying the sperms is known as the ductus deferens, or better we can call it as the sperm duct, or you can also call it as the vas deferens. Now again I repeat that since there are two testes, there is a pair of testes here, so definitely from each testes a single sperm duct will arise. So there is a pair of sperm duct. You can see this one is arising here, and the alternatively the other one is arising from the another side, right? So this is how they are. There is a pair of sperm duct. Beside this important point, you know where this as it is moving upward in the abdominal cavity, you know which is the specific location in our body? It is towards the side wall of abdominal cavity. See, um, they are actually present on the left and right lateral sides of the abdominal cavity. And after running through this abdominal cavity, they are merging together with the urethra. You know what is urethra? Urethra is a tube which is arising from the urinary bladder and is carrying, or it is passing the urine from the male body, right? Or even in the female body this urethra is present, which is responsible to carry and excrete out the urine. Right. Now here in this case, in the male organism, the sperm ducts, they are merging with the urethra. So now here this urethra is actually serving for two different purposes. And what are those two purposes? One is the release of urine from the body, and second is the release of sperms from the male body. Now these sperm ducts, they also actually receives the secretion of some other glands. And what glands are there? These glands are seminal vesicle, prostate glands, and Cowper's gland. Right. Or in short, we can understand that there are some additional glands over there in which through which these sperm ducts are coming in contact, or they are associated with these particular glands, and these glands, the secretions of these particular glands is responsible for the maintenance of the sperms, right? It provides the nourishment to these particular sperms, as well as it maintains the lubrication, right? It lubricates the internal parts so that the sperms can move in the forward direction easily, right? And of course then they are merging with the urethra. So students, the next important part of male reproductive system is the penis, right? You can say that this penis is the external male muscular organ, right? And it is somewhat contractile in nature, or it is basically erectile. What we mean by this and what important advantage is provided by such contractile or erectile nature by the in this muscles of the penis is that during the process of ejaculation of sperms, the structure it gets erected. Rather, it is soft and of course loose, but during this process, when there is the ejaculation, when there is the release of sperms from the testes and it has to move out of the body, the structure gets erected. And thus it is possible to release out the sperms. Fine. So now you can understand that what is the main function of this penis. It is the ejaculation of the sperms from the body, and secondly the release of urine from the body. Right. Now this characteristic, that is the erection of penis, is again considered, or it again happens during the secondary growth or post after the puberty has started. Right. So this is of course the next additional feature in the male organism during the puberty. Right. So these are the basic parts here, and of course the other supporting parts that you can observe here in this structure or in the diagram is that is the pubic bone, which is present in the front of this lower abdominal side, which provides of course the support to the structure. Then there is the bladder. Now this bladder which is labeled here, it has nothing to do with the male reproductive system, right, or the process of reproduction, but still it is labeled here because from this bladder the urethra is arising, and this urethra is it is merging with the vas deferens, and then it is responsible for the release of sperms from the body. Excuse me. Besides that, the additional word you can see here is the epididymis. This epididymis is actually the bunch of tubules. I said you earlier that testes is having different lobes here, and each lobe is comprised of number of tubules. Now all these tubules are responsible for the production of sperms, right? But all these tubules, they are together forming a bunch, or they are together getting merged into a single tube. So the bunch of all these tubules, right, these tubules, they merge together and they form a single duct. Then from each lobe these ducts are coming and they are merging together to form a common duct, and then further they are opening into the vas deferens, right? So this bunch, this structure is actually known as the epididymis. So this is all about the male reproductive system, and this is how the male organism is actually releasing the sperms, and during the reproduction, sexual reproduction, the sperms are transferred into the female body. So students, now let us understand the structure of the sperm. Sperms, as I already said, that they are very small in size, and I am not wrong if I will say that it is the smallest cell in our body. So this particular structure or the sperms, although it is produced in millions in the human body or in an organism, but still if we look at an individual sperm, it is having a very small size, and each sperm is having various parts. And what are these parts? They are there is a head, a middle piece, and a tail. You can see here in this picture also. This upper part, this is known as the head region, and towards the anterior side in the head region there is a part which is known as acrosome. And it is this particular part which is actually responsible for recognizing the presence of the ovum, or it helps in penetrating inside the ovum. See, initially when the sperm and the ovum has to fuse, initially it should come together, it should contact each other, and after that, after contacting, there is the release of some chemicals due to which they are able to fuse, these sperms are able to fuse with the ovum, and secondly it is activating the ovum so as to make or so as to secrete a layer in its surrounding so that the other sperms cannot fuse with it. So this basic part is actually this role is played by the acrosomes. Fine. Now after that there is this head region in which a nucleus is present. So this nucleus is required so as to transfer the genetic material to the next generation. The genetic constitution or the genetic information which is present in the father that is transferred or it is transmitted through the nucleus of the sperms. So it is this part where the nucleus is present. Then there is the middle piece, and this middle piece is actually rich in mitochondria. This mitochondria is required so as to provide the energy to this particular motile cell. Fine. And of course at the junction of this head and the middle piece, that this region is known as the neck. Besides mitochondria, the other organelles are also present. After that there is an elongated structure which is known as the tail, and this tail provides motility to the particular cell, that is to the sperms. So now you can see that this tiny structure or this very small structure, what different parts are present, and of course each part is very important, and besides that this small cell is responsible for the creation of a new individual. So now you understand the importance of the sperms. Further, of course, next thing I'm saying that it has to fuse with the ovum. Ovum, that is the female gamete, and where these female gametes are present in the female body, it is produced by the female body, female reproductive system. So next we have to study about the female reproductive system, and that we are going to continue in the next session. But initially one thing should be clear to you, that how these sperms are transferred into the female body. See, the sexual reproduction, it takes place by the fusion of sperm and the ovum, right? And these two things are located in separate system, or it is produced by the separate system in the male and the female body. Isn't it? System is of course same, but since there are so much difference, so I'm calling it as a different system. One is a male reproductive system, the other is the female. So these sperms, they have to reach the female gamete now, and how this process will take place, that is again a very interesting point. It depends upon the type of fertilization, right? That whether fertilization is taking outside the body or inside the body. So it depends on that, and that we are going to discuss further in some other session. So for now only this much. We will continue in the next session. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.